Dear students, Assalamu alaikum to all of you in 11th class of Botany. In last lecture, we have discussed morphology of flowering plants and root. Today, our topic is morphology of flowering plants, stem and leaf. Dear students, you know when we take dicot seed, there are two structures. First is plumule, which we have already told you, and second is radicle. This plumule, I have told already that this plumule is responsible for future stem or shoot, and you know radicle is responsible for future root. But we know stem is the thickened part of a plant, and what is the function of, first of all we will try to know what is the function of the stem. And first, it gives strength to the plant. And secondly, it performs the function of transportation. That means we have vascular bundles and vascular bundles. Xylem and phloem. These vascular bundles perform the function of transportation, especially xylem with the help of root hairs absorbs water and minerals and transports it to the parts of the whole plant through stem. Then third function is it performs the function of holding. You know that these leaves, branches, flowers, fruits, and these are held by stem. Fruits, flowers, branches, etc. Stem is holding these parts. So we know that when we make the structure of stem, we know that there is a node, and there is another node. So the distance between two nodes, we can say it is internode. So what is internode? It is distance between two nodes. After that comes modification of the stem. We will write here modification of the stem. In modification, we know at first stem is modified to store food. For example, In case of potato, potato, potato and ginger. And we know that sweet potato is the underground root. Sweet potato is the underground root, but potato is underground stem. So in next we talk of tendrils. So these tendrils modify to form these tendrils. Stem modifies to form tendrils. Stem modifies to form tendrils. And what is the main function of the tendrils? Its function is development in growth and climbing. For example, in case of cucumber and watermelon. Then there are thorns. Third one is thorns, and these thorns provide protection, give protection or defense. For example, bougainvillea. Protection from browsers or eating animals. Then fourth one is open shear. And in case of open shear, stem gets flattened. Stem gets flattened. And performs the function of photosynthesis. Performs the function of photosynthesis. Then fifth one is euphorbia. Fifth is euphorbia. In euphorbia, stem becomes fleshy and stem becomes fleshy. And performs the function of also photosynthesis. Then there is last example, water hyacinth. And sixth one is water hyacinth, and it is an aquatic plant. And rate of this aquatic plant, rate of division of this aquatic plant is very large. Aquatic plant is very large, by which it covers a large area, which it covers a large area. And due to this fast rate of division, rate of division, it drains out oxygen and by which other aquatic plants die. It drains out oxygen, drains out oxygen, drains out oxygen. So lack of oxygen takes place. So lack of oxygen takes place by which causes death of the other aquatic plants, which causes death of other aquatic plants. So this is also called the terror of Bengal. Terror of Bengal. So dear students, it was all about your stem. Then we come upon leaf. Morphology of leaf. When we talk of morphology of leaf, first of all, we go towards origin. We know that I have already told you some specialized cells are present in the plant, which we call as specialized cells, which we call as meristematic tissue. And these cells undergo division and produce new cells, and undergo division and produce new cells. But some cells and development of the plant takes place, and growth of the plant takes place, and some cells remain behind. Some cells remain behind. Some cells remain behind and give rise to axillary bud. Axillary bud. And this axillary bud is further gives rise to leaf. It further gives rise to leaf. So when we make the structure of a leaf, for example, this is stem, this is axillary bud, which gives rise to leaf, First of all, we will try to know what is the structure of the leaf. When we make the structure of the leaf, for example, it is leaf. Simple leaf. And this is called vein. Or we can say it is midrib. And there are veinlets. These are called veinlets. So we know it is the broadest part of the leaf. Broadest part of the leaf, which we call as leaf, blade, or lamina. We know that it contains chlorophyll and functions the contains chlorophyll and performs the function of photosynthesis due to presence of chlorophyll. Photosynthesis. Then there is a stalk-like structure. A stalk-like structure which we call as petiole, and inside petiole is a reducer leaf which we call as stipule, and then this is leaf base. This leaf base gets modified to perform photosynthesis. Leaf base gets modified to perform the function of photosynthesis. Function of photosynthesis. But in case of leguminous plant, so it is called palvinous. So it is called palvinous. And we know what is the function of this vein. We know that this vein provides network to the leaf, provides rigidness to the leaf, and this vein is thick as compared to veinlets. This material is very thick. It is a thick part. So we know that veinlets help in transportation. These veinlets help in transportation food and water, and also give network, provide network to the leaf. Then there is stipule. Stipule is small reduced leaf at the base of the leaf base. So then there is, I have told you, leaf base which modifies and performs the function of photosynthesis generally in case of monocots, and this modification is called palvinous. In case of leguminous plants, there is leguminous plants, the plants which give us pulses. Then we will see what is the arrangement of vein and veinlets called. Arrangement of vein and veinlets. The arrangement of vein and veinlets. We call it as venation. Then when the veinlets form a network, it is called as, when the veinlets, in case of leaf, when the veinlets form a network. For example, this is leaf. This is a leaf. When these veinlets form a network, we call it reticulate venation. Reticulate venation. And for example, in case of mango, then there is another when these veinlets are parallel, we call it as parallel venation. We call it as parallel venation. For example, in case of maize, for example, you can see in case of maize and rice, etc. So leaves are of two types. So we can say in case of maize, leaves are of two types. Leaves are of two types. First is simple leaf. First is simple leaf. We know in simple leaf we have lamina complete. Lamina complete. It means that in case of simple leaf having complete lamina, there is no cut or incision. No cut or incision. So we can call it is simple leaf. And or we can say incision does not reach to the lamina. Incision does not reach to the lamina. Now second type is compound leaf. Second type is compound leaf. So what is compound leaf? For example, this is leaf. It is like this. Compound leaf. So we can say there are cuts. There is no complete lamina. No complete lamina. And there is a cut. There is an incision or cut. Vein divides into small veinlets. Vein divides into small veinlets. Which we call as radius. Now there is compound leaf. Compound leaves are of two types. Compound leaves are of two types. First is palmate leaf. First is number one, palmate leaf. For example, this is leaf and it gives rise to single point gives rise to single burr 3 leaflets. single point or single birth, 3 leaflets. Leaflets. But in case of finitely, number 2, finitely, it is as such. Different leaf birth give rise to different leaflets. Different leaf birth give rise to different leaflets. Give rise to different leaflets. Then we can see what is phyllotaxy. What is? It means that arrangement of leaves. So we can say there is different arrangement and there is different arrangement. What is this arrangement called? Arrangement of leaves on a branch or axis. We call it as phyllotaxy. Phyllotaxy. Then this phyllotaxy is divided into 3 parts. Phyllotaxy is divided into 3 parts. Phyllotaxy divided into 3 parts. First one is alternate. Phyllotaxy is divided into 3 parts. First one is alternate. It means, for example, in case of China rose, it means one after another. One after another. One after another. Now second is opposite. Second is opposite. For example, calotropis. One bird, 2 leaflets. For example, as such. One bird, 2 leaflets. Then there is whorl. For example, number 3rd. For example, Alistonia. Single birth, many leaflets. For example, as such. Single birth, many leaflets. Then there is modification of leaf. modification of leaf. For example, first of all, we will take tendrils. We know that these tendrils support a plant for development or climbing. For example, in case of pea. Then second modification is spines. In case of root, we have seen bougainvillea, and in case of leaf, we have taken spines, and these spines, for example, cactus. These provide protection or defense. In case of, and third one is open shear. So we know that leaves of open shear are modified in spines. Or we can say spines of open shear are modified in leaf. Spines of open shear are modified in leaf. Then their fourth one is storage of food. For example, onion and garlic. Now we know that some plants are insectivorous. It means that insectivorous plants. It means that the plants which feed upon insects, what they do, they trap the insect, and due to deficiency of oxygen, insect dies. For example, deficiency of oxygen, they trap the insect, and due to deficiency of oxygen, insect dies. For example, pitcher plant or Venus fly. For example, pitcher plant or Venus fly, or also modified leaves. Venus fly, these are modified leaves. Thank you very much for today.